now. Yeah, thank you so much, Robert. I think look forward to this great session, and thanks for your help for the community sharing this valuable knowledge.
Yeah, thank you, Srini. Jayant, recording, please. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in today's webinar session. We have our speaker with us, a fascinating topic. And if you are still not aware of Let Us Talk It webinars, please do check us out at LetUsTalkIt.com. And those who have joined in from YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, we welcome you. Please share your comments, feedbacks, questions, whatever you have in the comments section. We will take it at the end of the session in the question answer section of the webinar. And having said that, we will definitely, if you want to attend the webinar, or if you are attending and you want to be a speaker, please email us at webinar@letustalkit.com. And we, as you can see, we go live on all social medias, and we hope that this is a knowledge sharing platform, and we hope that you share it with your friends, families, colleagues, and help each other out as a community. And for today's topic, we have an interesting one: how to impact, influence, and inspire with a signature story. Do you ever wonder why some people are able to grab attention and hold interest more easily? Why do some people seem to be able to sell easily and gain consensus? Is it just charisma? So, in this session, the speaker shares how you can more easily impact, influence, and inspire others by developing a signature story. And about the speaker today, we have with us Robert Kennedy III. He is a trainer, keynote speaker, workshop facilitator, and coach in communication and presentation confidence. Over the past 15 plus years, he has worked with executives and business leaders on bringing their communication to life. He specializes in leadership communication, public presentation skills, speech preparation and structure, team building, and presentation planning, development, and delivery. His workshops and training sessions are known for being high energy and interactive, yet thought provoking and insightful. With all these, the best one thing that I liked, which he writes under his signature, is I work with leaders who need to deliver critical messages with confidence. If you want to be one of them, please hear him loud. We welcome you, Robert. We are honored and thankful that you took out time to join us. And thank you so much. Over to you. You are muted, Robert.
All right. Hey, awesome. I'm so glad. Thank you, Julian, for that introduction. Thank you for hanging out with me today. It's been an amazing week. It's hard to believe it's Thursday and we're getting ready to move into the weekend. I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to some relaxation. I'm looking forward to some sleep. I'm looking forward to laying in bed just a little bit longer so that I can rejuvenate a little bit, because especially with this pandemic, you would think that we are less busy, right? But it seems like we're on one meeting after the next, and we are not able to be any less busy. So I'm just looking forward to sharing some time with you and having a really, really good session today. So let me share my screen really quickly here, and we will get cracking with this session. Hold on one second. Let me get back and stop messing around a little bit. Hold on. All right. Perfect. There we go. All right. Can you guys see me? All right. So today we are going to be chatting about how we can book more clients and build more influence with a signature story. So the reason that you're here today is you're going to be looking at how we can spend more time preparing and influencing, or spending more time influencing and less time preparing. And then I want to be able to teach you today how you can book more clients or improve your business with a signature story. As a presenter, as a speaker, as a business owner, you want to be able to influence people. You want to be able to connect with them. You want them to be able to move to action based on the things that you share. And so we're going to be doing that today. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to hang with me until the end of this. I'm going to be giving you a few things. I'm going to be giving you a couple of freebies. Everybody likes freebies, right? Everybody likes gifts. Everybody likes bonuses. Do you like unwrapping the paper at Christmas time or birthday time or anniversary time? Yeah, gifts are great. All right. So here's what I'd like you to do. I would love for you to turn off your distractions. I know that we've got these things. I'm going to hold mine up right now really quickly. We got these things, right? We got these phones that are constantly on notifications, and we're getting them coming at us all the time. And we've got, if we're at work, we've got our computers, ding, that are sending us notifications, and we've got emails that are coming in. I want you to turn off all the distractions that you can, because when you do that, that allows you to focus in on the thing that you're learning, the thing that you're growing in. And that's why we're here, right? We're here because we are looking to grow. And you're probably here because in some ways you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed with life and the pandemic and all the things that you've got to do. You want results in your workplace, but you feel a little bit overwhelmed by that. You feel a little bit frustrated in some ways, right? Somebody's trying to get you to meet a deadline. They're trying to get you to complete a project. They're trying to get you to lead a meeting, and you're a little bit frustrated by all of that. And to make matters worse, you feel like you're out of time. All these things happening, but you don't have enough time to complete them. And so if you are a leader, a speaker, a business owner, consultant, coach, you often feel alone, right? Nobody understands all the things that are that are tugging at you, right? And so today what we're going to do is we're not going to cure the leadership loneliness, but we're going to give you the ability to connect with people in an even deeper way. All right. So let me ask you to do something really quickly. On screen here, you see my picture, and then you see two other things. I want you to do me a favor, put in the chat. If you are on YouTube or if you're on Facebook or if you're on LinkedIn, I want you to put in the chat where you are from or where you're logging in from today. Go ahead and share that with me. I'm going to check the stream here on Facebook, and I'm going to check LinkedIn to see what we have. I want to find out where people are. Even if you're in the Zoom room, go ahead and share with me in the chat where you're logging in from. I want to see that really quickly. Okay, I see Srini is logging in from Detroit, Michigan. I see somebody else. Okay, Raj is from Zoom. All right. Somebody's coming in from India. Chulin's from Detroit, Michigan. Raj is from Greenbrook, New Jersey. All right. Excellent. My wife is from New Jersey, Raj. Right. She is. I lived in the state of Massachusetts, and I drove all the way to New Jersey to find my wife. Deepa is in India. Love it. Excellent. All right. Awesome. So we've got people that are all over the place today. We've got Detroit. We've got India. We've got people in many different parts of the world. Right. And the reason that I ask that, the reason that I share that is because you want to connect with people. Think about it. Every time somebody says, I am from here, do you connect with them? That's one of the ways that you can connect with people. So I'll share with you a little bit about me. I was originally born on the island of Jamaica. Boop, boop. Do you see the flag? All right. Do you see the flag? The green, the yellow, the black. That's where I'm from. But I left Jamaica when I was fairly young. I was about 8 years old. And then I grew up in the Bronx after that. So whenever I say the Bronx, people who are from New York City always say, yeah, New York City, right? Because we're making that connection. And if I'm outside of the United States and I say that I'm from Jamaica, if there's somebody that's from Jamaica or from another island in the room, they say, yeah, we're from the same place, or we're from the Caribbean or the Caribbean, right? And if I'm in Europe or somewhere and I say that I'm from the United States, the people that are from Detroit, Michigan say, yeah, we're from the United States too, because we're making connections with people, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about why it's important to make connections. So I'll share with you a few different things right here. Here's me in a nutshell. There's a picture there on the left-hand side right next to me. Let me see if I can point to it. Oh, there we go. All right. Yep, that picture. All right. So that's there. That I call that picture the 4 Roberts. All right. If you look right below my picture here, you see Robert Kennedy III. So in this picture, there are 4 Roberts, and that was taken in 2007. And that is my grandfather, or was my grandfather. He passed away last year at the age of 104. Ooh, right? And then there's me in the middle, and then there's my dad, Robert II. And then in my hands, I have the young man there who is now 14 years old. That I probably can't carry him like that anymore. But he was a year old, a little bit over a year old at that point, and that's Robert IV. And we've been brainwashing him so that he can name his son Robert V, because we're trying to do a dynasty. Right? So that's a little bit about me. That's my family. There are 4 Roberts in the family. We're working on 5. And then right next to that is a picture of my family. That's my wife, my daughter, my 2 sons. We took a trip to Barbados a couple of summers ago because my family, my wife's family, she's from she was born in New Jersey, but her mom's side of the family is from Guyana and her dad's side of the family is from Barbados. So we took a trip to Barbados. So I share this with you. Why do I share this with you? I share this with you so that you can know a little bit more about me, but you can also have some different points of connection with me. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about influence. And in order to gain influence, one of the things that you've got to do is figure out how you can gain points of connection. Okay. So here are some of the problems that people face. Here's what happens. You're in the office. You are in a session. You're leading a meeting. You've got a presentation and you're not quite sure what to say. You're used to being in a business setting. You're used to presenting data. You're used to presenting charts. You're used to presenting, what's happening. But you're not really sure what to say to connect with people. And most times in business, people are nice. They say, "Yep, that was a good presentation." But by the way that they said it to you, you know that you didn't connect with them. And how you know you didn't connect with them is because when you see them a week later, you ask them what the presentation was about. They have no idea. They don't remember. Right? So that's a problem. In business also, you don't usually have just one presentation. You've got multiple presentations that you've got to create. And every time you figure out, my goodness, I've got to create something new, and it's stressful to do this. And then you deliver your presentation and you're not sure if it hit home or not. Okay. You're not sure if they really got it. But I want to share with you today a solution. I want to share with you what I call one easy solution. And here's what it is. It's called a signature story. A signature story. Now, I'm going to share with you what a signature story is. But before we go into that, I want to share something with you. I want to share a little download with you that includes some of the information for you to follow along with the webinar today. And then also there are 2 bonuses included in that download. Okay. One of the things that's included is, my goodness, I'm not sure how to start off my speeches, my presentations, my meetings. There is something in there called 21 questions that you can ask to start your presentations. And we're going to talk a little bit later on about why that's important. Okay. But I'm going to share with you inside of that download, there's some things that will help you to improve the way that you tell stories, the way that you present, the way that you give information to your colleagues, your potential customers, your team. After you go through this, you're going to think about storytelling. You're going to think about presenting quite a bit differently. Okay. So there's the site on screen, bit.ly/signature download. Shulan, one of you, if you can put that into the chat for me, that would be great. All right. And if you don't get it right now, what we'll do is we'll make sure that you get it after the webinar and you can watch it again. I would love for you to watch it again. Yes. I'd like for you to watch me twice. All right, good. So everybody should have that. You should have the link and you should be able to download that. So let's keep moving. What is a signature story? Why do you need one? Where can you look for your signature story? Because I talk about stories and people immediately think, my goodness, I don't have a story. I don't know what story I want to tell. I don't know what story is going to make a difference. I don't know what the right story is. And why would I want to take a story, a signature story, and tell the same story over and over and over again? Why would I want to do that? Okay. And why is that important in business at all? Okay. So why do you need a signature story? Where to look for yours? Then how you can begin building it. And then lastly, learn how to deliver that story for the win every time. All right. So let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. There's a gentleman by the name of David Aker. He and his wife did some research on storytelling. And this is what they came up with in defining what a signature story is. A signature story is an intriguing, authentic, involving narrative with a strategic message that clarifies or enhances the brand, the customer relationship, the organization, and or the business strategy. It's a strategic asset that enables growth, provides inspiration, and offers guidance both internally and externally over an extended period of time, right? So that's a long statement. Let me say that really quickly in English in a short way. A signature story is something that you use strategically to achieve a specific result over and over again. Does everybody get that? A signature story is a strategic asset, something strategic that you use, that you tell multiple times over and over again in order to achieve a specific result, right? Successful companies have strategic stories, brand stories that they use repetitively in order to achieve a specific result. Okay. You think about the Star Wars franchise. How many people have watched the Star Wars movie 1,000,000 times? Right? Why do people watch the same movie over and over again? It's because there's something in it that connects with them, that makes them feel a certain way, that allows them to be able to operate, that reminds them of a specific time. Maybe they remember the first time they watched, they were sitting with their girlfriend, right? Or maybe the first time they watched it, they were sitting in the living room with their family and they're grown up now. And this watching the movie reminds them of that time, right? So stories really help us to connect with people, with our audiences. And that's why we want to be able to use them in order to leverage them. So here's a question. Why do you need a signature story? We just talked about it. I'm going to give you several quick answers. Okay. Having a signature story makes life easier. Okay. You don't have to continue to search for stories every time. You can have a story, either a personal signature story or an organizational or corporate or brand signature story that you use time and time again, or you use different pieces of it to make a point. Okay. It also helps to bring relatability and personality to your presentations. How often have you been in a session? I'm sorry, I was hearing a little bit of echo. Give me a second. Okay. How many times have you been in a session where there was a lot of data and charts and information being thrown at you and you couldn't connect with it? You were bored because you were just overwhelmed by the information. And you're saying, what on earth does this have to do with me? What does this have to do with me? Right? And so you want to use a signature story to help bring personality to your presentation, because most people are looking for what's in it for them. We FM, what's in it for me? Right? Then it shows people who you are and what you're concerned about. Stories help you to plant your flag. People see what you're passionate about. People see what you are talking about, and people see what you're concerned about with your stories. If you're an individual business owner, it also helps to build your brand. If I'm hearing the same story, if you're telling me the same type of story over and over again, people now begin to associate you.
Let me call you the
Okay, I'm hearing some audio here. Do me a favor, mute the other audio for me, please. I appreciate that. All right. I'm hearing some, if you are consistently telling the same story, people begin to associate you with that particular thing. Okay, so it's a way to build your brand. But signature stories also build what we call KLT, know, like, and trust. It's said that people don't do business with people unless they know, like, and trust those people. Okay, think about the people that you buy from online. Think about when you buy your cars. Think about the things that you purchase in the supermarket. You've built up some relationship with certain products, either through commercials or whatever it is, or because somebody else told you, hey, you should get that thing. You've built up some relationship where you know, like, and trust that thing, that person, that product. And so you make a purchase, you move. Okay, you move into action based on that. So stories help to do this. Stories, as a matter of fact, help to shortcut the process towards doing this. So where can you find your stories? Where do you find your stories? I mean, a lot of people feel like they don't know where to look for their stories. There's a young man by the name of Richie Parker. If you look on the slide, he's on the bottom here. And if you go to YouTube and you look up Richie Parker is a design engineer for Hendrick Motorsports. I don't know if you've ever heard of Hendrick Motorsports, but if you follow NASCAR, okay, stock car racing, Hendrick Motorsports is one of the top organizations in Hendrick Motorsports. And what Richie Parker does is he designs engines for these motor cars. Here's the thing about Richie. Richie was born without arms. And so Richie drives to work in a customized vehicle that he controls with his feet. And then he gets to work and he designs vehicles with a customized computer and big mouse that he uses his feet to control. Right? So when Richie tells his story, people say, ooh, and they listen to the story because they say, my goodness, Richie has such a compelling story. Ooh, he was born without arms. And then they go back to themselves and they kind of think, wait a minute, I wasn't born without arms. So what story do I need to tell? So here's a place that you can start. I want to share with you some ways that you can find a story that you can tell. And let's do this from the personal aspect, but we want to connect that with business just a little bit later on. So one of the places that you can start is with your story of overcoming. Okay. What is something that you have overcome? Now, a lot of times people feel like, my goodness, I tell you the story about Richie Parker. I tell you a story about Nick Vujicic, who's a top motivational speaker, doesn't have arms, doesn't have legs. I tell you a story about Brendan Burchard was in a life-changing car accident. I tell you a story about people who've traveled. I tell you a story about Diana Nyad, who at the age of about 68 swam from Cuba all the way to Miami, right? There were jellyfish and sharks and all sorts of things in the water. And she swam, and you're kind of saying, I don't have that story. I don't have anything to tell like that. But your story of overcoming doesn't need to be as dramatic as you think. Doesn't need to be as dramatic as you think. So here are some ways that you can begin to find out what is your story that you can begin to share, that you can use in order to influence, that you can use in order to connect, that you can use in order to collaborate and just draw people closer to you, make you a little bit more relatable. And when you're relatable, people connect with you differently. They listen to you differently. So here are some places that you can find your story of overcoming. Think about a time that you learned something new and it changed your life. And if you have the download, you should be able to see this right in your download. Okay, so think about a time that you learned something new and it changed your life. Maybe it was the time that you were struggling with something at work, with a project, and you learned how to use a CRM, or you learned how to use a specific software, and it made your life so much easier. Right? That's one way. Let's look at another example. Maybe you overcame a specific trauma at some point in your life. Name calling, bullying, etc. What was something that you overcame that allows you to move forward or to operate in a certain way? Yeah, you're in business and you're kind of saying, well, I don't want to tell people about my childhood troubles in the business environment. But if you share just a little bit and share how you relate to a specific product or how you relate to a specific service or something, a new project, okay, this makes a difference for me because I know what it's like to feel unlistened to or unheard. Right? So sharing your story in that way, I know I was getting an echo. I had the YouTube channel open. All right. All right, let's go back. All right. You guys can see my crazy screen, right? Yeah. All right. Excellent. So if you share a little bit about how what you're up to affects the product or the service or the project that you're on, then that allows a little bit of relatability. People listen differently when they hear how you can connect with the story or how you personally connected with it or how somebody else has connected with it. Here's another way: how you overcame a workplace or a professional challenge. Okay, maybe you don't want to reveal something personal, but maybe there's something that you experienced. Maybe you talk about how you felt. If you're talking about customer service or you're talking about workplace culture, okay, how to change the culture in your workplace. Maybe now in this time where there's a lot of racial unrest and there's a lot of we have to listen to people and communicate differently, you realize that your workplace, there's some things that you missed. And so now you want to talk about, okay, there is something that I felt at a specific time in my workplace. I remember when I was my very first supervisory experience, and I interviewed. And at the interview, the people that were interviewing me after they hired me or as they were hiring me said to me, yeah, you're a supervisor. So remember that you can't be friends with the employees, right? You can't be buddies with them. And so I went into this job feeling like, oh my goodness, I've got to separate myself. I've got to talk to them a certain way and I can't be friends with them. Needless to say, that led to a lot of trouble. People didn't want to do anything extra. They didn't want to fulfill certain roles. They didn't want to, and even if there was overtime pay involved, they didn't want to do certain things. And I was having trouble at this job until one day I finally pulled aside one of the older staff and asked her, what's going on? What can I do differently? Why do the employees or why does the team respond that way to me? And she said, well, Robert, we don't feel like you have our backs. Ooh, right? she hit me right in the heart. But that was the day that I was able to begin operating differently. Now, I tell you that as a small story about workplace challenges. And as I tell you that, if I'm ready now to share with you how you can create some systems in order to be a better leader, you'll listen to me differently because of the short story that I just told you. All right. So let's go to another example. How you address the personal skill deficit. Maybe there's something that you did. Maybe there's something that you learned. Maybe you had to figure out how to learn the updated version of Microsoft Word. Or, they have this new crazy stuff with PowerPoint and you were struggling with it until one day you found this thing on YouTube that allowed you to learn it differently, right? That is a personal skill deficit that you overcame. And now you're sharing that as a story with someone else. And here's the thing. A lot of us, this is not all groundbreaking stuff. We do some of this anyway, but we just don't do it in our formal presentations. Right? We don't do it in our formal, we might do it casually. We might say that somebody asks us a question and we say, yeah, I know that. And we do that in our presentations or we do that in our conversations, but we don't do it in our presentations. All right. So let me ask you really quickly, if you are in the chat, go ahead and share with me in the chat. does any one of these examples resonate with you so far? Tell me 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Which one of these examples resonates with you? I'll go back through them, okay, as a way that you can share a story about your life and include that in a presentation. Number 1, a time you learned something new. You can share that. Number 2, how you overcame a childhood trauma. Number 3, how you overcame a workplace or professional challenge. Number 4, how you addressed a personal skill deficit. Right? 1, 2, 3, or 4. Let me see in the chat here. Any of these resonating with you so far? All right. Let me see. Okay, cool. I see online. I see number 3, number 4, number 4. Okay, great. All right. Okay, in the Zoom, somebody says number 1. Perfect. Excellent. Number 2, Raj says number 2. Love it. Thank you, Raj. All right. Vidyadhar says number 2. All right, cool. Love it. All right. Excellent. Let's keep going. I know we only have a certain amount of time and there's a lot of information here that we want to share, guys. So let's keep moving. All right. Perfect. So I want to share with you one more example. How you addressed a specific knowledge gap, right? That's another place that you can dig for a signature story. Okay. There was something that you didn't know, and then you learned it. You went to school for it. You took a certification program to address it, and now you've become better at it. That's another place that you can dig. Okay, so let's jump into. I want you to start thinking now, because I've given you some examples. Now I want you to start thinking about the stories themselves and why you should tell them and where you can get them from. So I want you to think about, when was the last time you did something you really felt proud of at work or in your business or at home? I want you to think about that. And you don't have to share that in the chat, but I really want you to think about that. If you've done your download, I want you to write that down in your download right now. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to do that. When was the last time you did something that you really felt proud of at home or at work or in your business? All right. Then after that, I want you to think about, why did you feel proud? Did you feel proud because you'd never done it before? Did you feel proud because you had been struggling with this thing for a very long time? Did you feel proud because it was something that you had no idea was even a problem and you found out about it and you were able to fix it? I'll tell you, we moved to a house and the basement of the house was unfinished. And there's an office space upstairs. And because I'm typically the one who works from home, I claim the office space upstairs. Right? But my wife wanted her space. She wanted a space of her own so that she could work, so that she can rest and relax, so that she could sew if she felt like. And I needed to create a space for her. I didn't have the money to get a contractor to come in to finish the basement or to set up a space for her. But I figured out how to drywall, how to set up and frame the walls in the basement, and how to set up certain things, and how to make sure that it was not going to fall apart, and how it would look decent and to paint it. And so after I was able to do that, and I stepped back and I looked at it, I said, wow, I felt proud because I was able to do several things. Number one, I felt proud because I was able to provide something for my wife. But number two, I was able to do something that I'd seen my dad do. I'd seen some other people do, but I'd never actually done it myself before. Right? Going to Lowe's, going to Home Depot, getting all the wood, making all these trips, getting the drywall, lifting it out of the truck by myself, using the putty, using the spackle and all of that stuff to make these, to make it look good, and then painting and over the course of weeks, finally seeing this room to come together. I felt proud. That's a story that I want to share. How can I share that story? I share that story if I'm in a project. We're getting ready to launch this big project and there's this deadline. And the team has never really undertaken this before. I share that story and I talk about the pride that I felt in that. And I translate that to, okay, listen, we've got all of these steps that we've got to take. We've got new partners. We've got new business units. We've got new things that we have never encountered before. And we can do this. And here's why I know that we can do this. Here's an experience that I had. And here's how I felt when I did it. And I want the same feeling for you when we get to the end of this project. Right? Isn't that inspirational? Isn't that a way to say, listen, this is possible, instead of just saying, hey guys, here's this new project. We need to get it done by the 15th. Right? You've got a story that you can share that connects with people, that hits them in the heart, that inspires them and allows them to have some human connection and relatability. All right. So the third question, what did you do in order to get to the point where you were able to do this thing? So what was something that you did that you felt proud of? Why did you feel proud? And then what were the steps that you took in order to get to the point where you were able to do this? You've got a story. Now you can share the steps, the journey that you took in order to get to this place. All right. I want to share with you some other things, other ways that you can mine for your story. Okay. You might not think you have a story, or you don't know what was the thing that you did at home that made you proud, or you're not sure of what's your story of overcoming. But here are some other places that you can begin to look for stories that you can use in your personal situations, in your business situations, in your work, in your leadership. You can find stories that you can use. Okay, so here's one at the top: history of your significant jobs or projects. You want to start writing that down. You want to look for that. Right? You want to look for that so that you can now, as you remember all of the things that you've done, all of the things that you've been through, you begin to see patterns. You begin to see things that you can use in order to help motivate, help influence, and help inspire. Prior experiences that shape who you are and how you act today. Is there something that you've gone through in the past that made a huge difference? I remember when I was in college, I used to play for this choir. Okay, I was a keyboardist and I played for this choir, and it was my sophomore year of college. I was nervous about playing for the choir in the first place. I didn't think I was good enough, but I tried out as a musician and I was chosen to play for the choir. And my sophomore year, I was in the basement of one of the dormitories. There was a room where the choir practiced. And as I was down there setting up for choir rehearsal, there was a man. I just kind of saw this man in the back, and he was just kind of standing there looking. And as I listened, or as I set things up, he kind of kept coming a little bit closer until finally I heard him say my name. He said, "Robert." Okay. So I just went over to him and he said to me, he said, "Listen, I've been thinking, I've been kind of watching what you're doing. And there's something that I'm thinking about. And I just felt like I need to say this to you. You've been hiding behind this keyboard playing, but you should really be out front. There's something about you that is leadership material, but I see you hiding behind the keyboard." Right? So he tells me this, and this is more than 25 years ago. And I remember it like it was yesterday. Right? And what happened after that was it somehow sunk into me, and I thought about it. And that summer I went home and I decided I was going to start a group, and I started a group, and then I started 2 other groups, and then I started a choir, and then I did some different things. That one experience shifted how I led, or shifted my thoughts about myself with regard to leadership. Right? And that's something that I share with people who aren't sure that they should lead. Right? So that's a place that I've gotten a story. Okay? People who have influenced who you have become. Their stories there. Okay? What are some talents, skills, and abilities that you have gained, and how? How did you become a musician? How did you learn how to ride a bike? Is there a story behind that? And here's the one that I love, the last one. And some of us are scared to do this, right? Ask family members or friends when they think about you, is there a specific story that comes to mind? Is there something funny? Is there something that they remember when they think about Robert? When you see me, when you see Robert, what story do you remember? What do you think about? Right. And these are important things or important places for you to get information, because again, your job is to connect with people. It's not just to share information with them. It's not just to give them data. It's to connect with them, and grabbing a story, having a relevant story that you can use multiple times is one of the best ways to do that. And I don't have a slide for this, but as a matter of fact, there's a guy by the name of Jerome Bruner, and he says that people are 22 times more likely to remember a fact if it's wrapped in a story. Okay, he's a cognitive psychologist. People remember so much more if there is a story attached to it. Stories trigger, right? They trigger a part of our brain. All right. So let me ask you this. You've got the story in mind. But then who are you telling it to? Who are you telling it to? And here's why we're asking this question, because remember, you want to be very strategic. Your story is a strategic asset. It's not just something to make people feel good. It's not just something that you throw out there at the beginning of a presentation. There's a reason that you tell your story, and you want to think about it. You want to be intentional about it. You want to prepare it. So in order to do that, you got to think about who you're telling your story to. So let's look at some questions that you want to ask. Okay. So who are they? What do they care about? What is it that they need? And what's missing for them right now? Right? As you're going into a presentation, as you're going into an audience, as you're going into a meeting, who are the people that are in this meeting? What are the things that they care about? What do they need? And mostly, what's missing for them right now? If you have the answers to those questions, then you're going to be able to find a better story that you can use that is going to connect with them. Okay. So here's something I want you to do. If you have the download has this as well for you, right? And we're going to be wrapping up here shortly. So the download has this for you. If you can't do this today, I want you to take this away and think about it. So my audience is blank, and right now they are most concerned about blank. If they had total control today, they would blank. Right? My audience is customer service representatives, and right now they're most concerned about the complaints that they are receiving daily. If they had total control today, they would implement a brand new customer response system. If you're able to fix that, then you're kind of saying, okay, what's the story that I can tell that not just talks about the customer response system, but maybe a story that I can tell about how I felt when I did not receive great customer service and I had to call, and instead of reaching a person, there was this automated system that took me through 15 prompts before, tell that story. Right? And you're able to come up with that because you have something that shows you how you can be intentional about it and connects with the audience. All right. How does this help connect with your audience and build influence with them? Okay. How does having this information, how does having this story connect with your audience and help build them? I want to share with you really quickly some typical things that audiences lack. Okay. Typical problems that they have. They either don't have money, they don't have enough time, they don't have enough skill, they don't have enough progress. They've been working on something too long and it's taking a long time, all right? And they don't have the motivation to do certain things. Your stories are going to enable them or help them to navigate these things, or choosing the right story allows you to address the specific problem or need that your audience has. Okay. So one of the ways that you can begin to connect with your audience and address their needs is by, at the beginning of a story, at the beginning of a session, asking a question. You want a simple way to be powerful at the beginning of any presentation. Ask the question. Ask a question. And here's a question you can ask. What if this existed? Or what if we could do this specific thing? What if our world looked like this? What if our company or department looked like this? Let's go into brain science for just a second here. When you ask questions, it triggers a response in our brains known as instinctive elaboration. And what that means is that the brain can't help but answer questions. So literally, instead of just walking in and saying, hey, good morning, my name is Raj, and I'm sorry to pick on you, Raj. Hey, good morning, my name is Raj, and I'm here to talk about this. When you ask a question, it immediately engages the brains or the minds of the listeners, and they start to think about possibilities. They start to create pictures and videos in their minds. So asking a question at the beginning is a really good way to engage them. And now you can add your story in to begin taking them down this journey. And when you take them on the journey, once they start moving, you can get them to a place where you influence and share something that they can use because you know their needs. You've done the work, right? You can also use a prompt like imagine what it would look like if this. Imagine a snowy Thursday afternoon, right? Now you're starting to put a picture in their minds. So I've shared with you today quite a few, I've taken you through how to discover a story, how to find something that could be your signature story. I've taken you through how you can utilize those in personal situations as well as work situations. So a big question that I've got for you here is this. What if you could save some time in developing your presentations? What if you could know that your audiences would be connected with you every single time you spoke? What if you could have or follow a roadmap or a framework to get more clients and build more influence? And what if you could do this and get guidance on how to do all of it so that anytime you do a speech or a presentation and lead a meeting, it's a breeze? Well, one of the things that I want to share with you in the fall, I am running a session called How to Develop, Discover, and Deliver Your Signature Story. How to discover, develop, and deliver your signature story. 3 phases of it: mining, finding out what the good story is. Number 2, then developing it according to a framework and a structure that you can use to impact, influence, and inspire. And then how to deliver that in a way that allows them to really connect and engage with you because you're enthusiastic and passionate about the information that you're sharing. How to do that. So I want to share with you how to get connected about that. We're going to be doing discovering your why, discovering your stories, discovering which story sells, how to build your talk, how to deliver it with confidence. And we're going to be doing that at the end later on in the fall here. We're going to be sharing how to build your talks, and I'll be sharing with you some templates for how to build your talks quickly and easily. And if you want to be able to do that and get information about when we're going to be delivering that, then you can go to tellyoursignaturestory.com and we'll share that information with you in the very near future. Okay, so I'll leave that on the screen for just a second, but I'm going to leave a little bit of time here for a few moments for Q&A, questions and answers. Any questions that people have about how signature stories impact, influence, and inspire? I'm going to look. Chulin, if you want to come on, that's fine. Or if we want to just see if there are any questions in the chat. Let me stop sharing my screen here so that we can, okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, Robert, for that stimulating speech, and that so much relatable. And trust me, we don't see any questions right now, but if you have, please do unmute yourself and ask your question. Anyone, or you can write it on the chat also.
Yeah.
Jen, please let us know if we have any from Facebook or YouTube. But I would definitely say, Robert, that, recently have started mentoring this. We do have this Let Us Talk It youth series every Friday.
Yeah.
mentoring them. They are being panelists. They are very enthusiastic. They have, and I always stress on that you should have that story, that to be relatable. You don't have to Google anything. And now your reconfirmation today that how important it is. It's just like it's now my story to say that yes, I'm guiding you in the right path. So thank you so much for that. On a personal note, Satya Kiran says full of activity and very much different from all past webinars. I bet it is.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's a great compliment. And yes, I second that. It is very inspiring. I think very, very informative and inspirational. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on and sharing. Thank you.
Yeah, Robert, if I can ask you, what is that one story of yours that, changed your life significantly?
Well, there's a story that I tell, and we don't have time to go through the stories in detail, but there's a story that I tell about when I learned how to ride a bike by myself at the age of 8. And I learned how to ride a bicycle by going down a hill going down a driveway into my friend's garage. And then after that, instead of just riding like everybody else, I took it to a hill and I went down the hill. And at the bottom of the hill, there was this intersection, and I'm riding down the hill and the pedals start to go really fast and my feet fly off of the pedals, and this intersection is coming up. But just before the intersection, I recognize that there's a lawn on the left, and I throw the bike onto the lawn and crash into a fence there. But then I raise my hands in triumph because I had ridden a bicycle that day. So I use that story a lot in business settings to talk about sometimes how you feel out of control on projects, how sometimes you think you have it in under control, and then all of a sudden things start to pick up speed and you realize that your feet fly off the pedals, and then you get closer to the intersection, you feel like the entire project is going to crash, and you realize, oh no, there's something that we forgot to teach ourselves. In my case, the thing that I forgot to teach myself was braking, how to stop the bike. So, I build that up, and there are a lot of details I share in that story, but it's a signature story that I use in a lot of different occasions.
Right. I mean, wonderful. And this is, I think, the relatability that you so very specified and you stressed on, that simple things like these incidents like these must have happened with us, but we did not pay that attention. But if we can bring that up from our treasures, we can create that story.
Excellent. Right? Absolutely. Yeah. So I just wanted to share one last thing. I'd love to hang out with everybody. You can feel free to follow me on social media. Let's get connected there. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and I'm easy to find. Robert Kennedy 3 in all of those places. Right. So just follow me, Robert Kennedy 3. I'd love to connect with you. Let me know that you connected with me on the Let Us Talk It webinar. And we'll talk. We'll have continual conversations from there. But I would love to get connected with people on social media as well.
Absolutely. And if still we are waiting for any question or feedback, comments, just wanted to let you know we have our Let Us Talk It Youth Series coming up tomorrow from 4 to 5 p.m. EST. We have youth from UK, we have youth from US, and they are talking about social youth and social causes, what they are passionate about, how can youth help on very significant social causes like COVID-19, like animal welfare, like Black Lives Matter, like medicine, like so on. So so many more. So please join us tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST, Eastern Time. And we have it every week on Fridays. So please, if you want to participate or you want your kids to participate, it's open to all. And if parents want to mentor, they can also join. Email us at webinar@letustalkit.com. And as we go, we still have our professional webinars every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. EST. Next week, we also have great topics coming up. Tuesday on stress, the Wednesday, data scientist on some particular topics of AI, and then on Thursday we have a topic on robots and humanity. So very interesting topics coming up. Do keep in touch. And if we don't have any more questions, then we end this session. Thank you, Robert, so much for your time, your energetic presentation. Thank you so much. And thank you, audience, for joining in today, spending that time with us. Hope you join us every week, every day that we have webinar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you.